Good evening and a warm welcome to all. Today's webinar commemorates Shikshak Parv, highlighting on the topic Atma Nirbhar Shikshak NEP 2020, organized by the Board of Studies in Education, University of Mumbai, in collaboration with MES's Pillai College of Education and Research, Chembur. Let's begin our today's event with the university song, Kindly Rise.
मन्दिरं शारदाया मुम्बापुरी विश्वविद्यालयम् इदं सुन्दरं मन्दिरं शारदाया मुम्बापुरी विश्वविद्यालयम् तदा शास्त्रवाणिज्यशाखाभिरूढा अमूढा विमुक्ता विहङ्गा वयम् शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम् शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम् इदं सुन्दरं मन्दिरं शारदाया मुम्बापुरी विश्वविद्यालयम् सत्यं वदामो धर्मं चरामो नयामो नृणां दुःखभारं लयम्
Commemorates
सत्यं
Shikshak Parv,
वदामो
highlighting on the
धर्मं चरामो नयामो नृणां दुःखभारं लयम् स्वकार्ये रतानां सदा जागृतानां भवेत् किं भविष्येति तस्मात् भयम् शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम् शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम् इदं सुन्दरं मन्दिरं शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम् शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम् शृण्वन्तु सर्वे दृढं निश्चयम्
Thank you. May I now request Dr. Sunita Magre, Professor and Head, Department of Education and Chairperson, Board of Education, University of Mumbai, to welcome us for the webinar.
Good afternoon, sir. I am on behalf of the Board of Studies in Education, University of Mumbai, as a chairperson. I wholeheartedly welcome to Dr. Ashok Pandey for this webinar on Atma Nirbhar Shikshak NEP 2020, organized by the Board of Studies in Education, University of Mumbai, in collaboration with the MES Pillai College of Education and Research, Chembur, Mumbai. Now we know that our education system is developing with the various changes in the new curriculum, teaching methodologies, various activities, and exposure into new techniques and the new methods. Such changes are giving the advantages of our students as well as the teachers. When we get these advantages, so we learn more and more and we become more and more innovative. So this has been increased the relation between the teacher as well as the students. And when the relation build between the teacher and the students, a rapport build between the teachers and the students, so both are performing better and increase the status, not only the status, but the global status of our institution, of our university. So I'm not taking much more time because we are eagerly listen to Dr. Ashok Pandey. So welcome, sir. And I can hand over the mic to Dr. Rennie Francis. And
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. It's my honor and privilege to welcome a dynamic resource person, Dr. Ashok Pandey, for our today's webinar. Dr. Ashok Pandey is a goal-driven professional educator, committed to each child's social and academic development. Widely acknowledged as an innovator, classroom practitioner, and effective educational leader, Dr. Pandey has spent 30 years working with children and teachers. His 2 books on classroom teaching and practical aspects of school management have been bestsellers. He considers teacher development, servitude leadership style, SDGs evangelism, and lifelong learning attitude among his most cherished goals. The Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, IIMA, has recently published a case study on the impactful professional development program he carried out at Alcorn International School. Recipient of the National Teacher Award 2012, Extraordinary Leadership Award 2021 by the Education World, and the Forbes India Top 100 People Managers Award 2020 make him a reputed thought leader on contemporary educational issues. He considers exposure to the schools and educationists in over 20 countries finest mentoring and working opportunities with multilateral agencies as the crucial factor shaping his thought and personality. He is presently serving on the governing board of the National Council for Teacher Education, NCTE, Cambridge NEP Advisory Board for India and South Asia. Presently, he is a lead mentor with Crimson Education Management Services. Thank you, Dr. Ashok Pandey, for your graceful presence and accepting our warm invitation. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rennie, for such a very generous introduction that you have given. It is very humbling and touching. Thank you, Dr. Sunita Magre, ma'am, for your initial remarks. Thank you, Mr. Francis, the faculty, students, and all the participants on this Zoom link. I'm absolutely honored in the first place that I have this opportunity to speak to all of you on a very, very important topic and on the occasion of something very, very important from the point of view of India and also from the point of view of education. And as Dr. Sunita mentioned, the global education, the global perspective of education. So that is something that I'm very, very excited about. I heard the prayer and I was very touched. And two lines I picked from there, and I want to make a mention of that because the topic for today is Atma Nirbhar Shikshak, a teacher who is self-reliant. And I think if we pick up only those two lines from this beautiful prayer that all of you sang or the recording was played today, one is Satyam Badamo Dharmam Charamo. So if we learn in our life to speak the truth and to follow dharma, righteous path as we call it, I think we are already half Atmanirbhar. And if you want to complete that half, remaining half, for that there is a second line, Idam Sundaram Mandiram Sharada. कि माँ शारदा के इस सुंदर मंदिर में, anybody who steps into this temple of goddess Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, will remain always Atmanirbhar. So I think by this standard and benchmark that you set, no further talk is required on Atmanirbhar Shikshak. I think these three things we have to follow in line, and we are already Atmanirbhar. However, teaching and teacher, these are also two very different aspects of it. Good teaching and good teacher, these are two different entities. Similarly, a learner, a good learner, a prepared learner, a learner who is motivated, a learner who is self-driven, they are also all different things. And therefore, I think not only for teaching, for anything in life, some kind of self-reliance is a must. You just can't work at a place, depending on anybody else and not on yourself, remaining in isolation. By the way, I want to make it very clear in the beginning itself, when we talk of Atmanirbhar, it does not mean that we are isolating ourselves from the group or the community or the people or the workplace that we are working with. I think our individual Atmanirbharata, the self-reliance, is just one unit of that overall self-reliance of that particular community which we belong to. And that is why the clarion call that the Honorable Prime Minister has given to the whole of the country is Atmanirbhar Bharat. You see, so we are talking of the country. And then I will extend it further. When India becomes Atmanirbhar in that sense, we are 1/5 of the population of this country. Imagine how much contribution we make to the whole world. We have the potential to make a whole lot of other people on this planet, for them also to become Atmanirbhar. And then the whole world becomes Atmanirbhar. And then the whole world moves towards the path of sustainability that we call about. So therefore, I think we have to take this Atmanirbharata as a pathway for the sustainability of the world. So that is a hypothesis that I'm making right in the beginning itself. And hence now we can come back to what actually the Atmanirbharata of an individual, particularly in the context of a teacher, is, and how we can build it further, what are its advantages, what are the capacity buildings that we have to do, and how we can really make it happen. So for that, just allow me, Dr. Reni, 1 second. I will share my screen. And here I am. Is it visible? Dr.
Yes,
Reni,
sir.
is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Fine. So here we come. And therefore, I think we are talking of Atma Nirbharata. So let us talk of Atma in the beginning itself. So who we are. So, I mean, I'm not going into this psychology or physiology or the neuroscience of it, just a common understanding of the self, which constitutes of these four dimensions: body, mind, soul, and emotions. So if these four things constitute what we are, then this is the first thing that we have to take care of. So what is our health? What is our energy level, body mass, weight, or whatever is the vital statistics or the body parameters? I think we are all very conscious of it, and we have to keep our body very, very healthy. That is something very important, and we should not forget about it. Then comes the mind, how productive and agile and alert our mind is. What are the levels of clarities that we have? What is the mental discipline we have? And what is the kind of organizational discipline I contribute to as an individual? Then our soul things are, the quality consciousness into it. So whether it comes to time management, whether it comes to work-life balances, comes to family, to friends, self-confidence, the relationships, all those things will come into that. And the fourth thing, which is very important, is that emotionally, what actually we are aspiring for. What is the kind of contribution that we are going to give to the society? How grateful we are for what we have received and how prepared we are to give back to the society, and how much harmony and peace and coexistence that we seek our lives. That is something very, very important. So I think the first step to Atmanirbharta that we are talking about should begin with this. And the second thing is, let us understand that what is the self-reliance. The self-reliance is actually the belief in ourselves, belief in our capabilities, belief in the fact that come whatever the circumstances, I will try and overcome it. I'll fight it out. I will not be toppled. The adversities will not disturb me. That is the basic understanding that we develop. And then what is the kind of environment that we have around us? What kind of people we choose? Which kind of inspiring people attract us? What is the mojo moment that we get in the company of people? Are we making ourselves also inspiring people? Am I prepared to learn more and do more and produce more with more efficiencies? So these three at the individual levels, and when we convert it into a group of teachers in a school organization or faculty or whatever name we may give it, I think when this individual belief in us, due to our strong understanding of it, structural environment and capacity building, then we come to the fourth thing, and that is called collective efficacy. And collective efficacy here is a collective belief where the whole group thinks or the team thinks that we are capable of producing this result. And particularly in a school environment, we have seen when teachers have this collective efficacy, that together all of us with our capacities, we are determined to make a difference in the lives of the children. I think that is one of the very, very crucial factors which improves learning, which improves culture, which builds a different kind of learning environment on the campus, and the research also supports it. And one research by John Hattie, but I'm sure all educationists must have heard about him, and he has found more than 100 parameters which affect a child's performance. And the collective efficacy of teachers comes on the top, first or second position. That if all the teachers collectively believe in themselves and in their ability, they can make a huge difference in the lives of the children. So that is a little bit on the explanation of the self-reliance and what it will accrue, what benefits will accrue to the children. If there is a collective efficacy of teacher, there is a collective self-reliance, individually, every teacher thinks that he or she can make a difference, then we will, by default, make our students also self-reliant. We will be able to achieve all teaching and learning goals. We will be able to take care of all the children. We will embrace diversity. We will not make a distinction between the two children. We will not label the children. And we will not exclude any child from the benefits of education. The fourth thing is that we will start collaborating with each other. We will start taking interest in the development of each other. We will start taking interest in each other's development. And then we will be able to build communities, community of learners here. And we will also understand as teachers, when we become self-reliant, that we are one side of the partners in the learning of the children. There is a huge other side, and that is the parents. And then we will start involving the parents also. So with the parental involvement, with the community building, with collaboration, with inclusion, with achieving goals, and with every student becoming a self-reliant person, I think we will move towards sustainability, where our processes will be sustainable, our operations will be sustainable, our activities in the classrooms will be sustainable, our own growth will be sustainable. And when we say sustainable, it only means that we will start thinking beyond the classroom also. That is it only the teaching, or it is beyond the classroom? Are our children taking interest in the society, in the community? Are they taking interest in the climate? Are they taking interest only for themselves or for the others also, who do not have the access to education in the fashion in which some of them may have? I think that is the beginning of an individual teacher to a community teacher, and to a teacher or a group of teachers who is prepared to make a huge difference in the society. And I think that is ultimately the goal of being a teacher. Now, if all those things are there, then there is a third aspect which enters into it, and that is, how do we do things? After all, are we not talking about quality education and lifelong learning for all? So what is the quality education? Which means there is one kind of education which is different from an education which has quality inbuilt into it. So how to distinguish it, and how to understand it, and how to become quality conscious as an individual or as a leader is very, very important in my position. And therefore, I think a self-reliance in the absence of quality consciousness will be some kind of incomplete self-reliance. For completeness of that particular quality of self-reliance, I think the quality means that we must set our goals. We must prepare for that. Task completion is something which should be our goal. In Sanskrit also, three kind of people are described. The some kind that people don't even take a task and they don't even make a beginning. The second kind of people, they make a beginning, but they quit in between. And the third, which is known as Uttam Vyakti, or the highest quality of person, is that they take a task and they take it to the completion. So this is very, very important. And that is where the quality comes in. And the second thing is that, any task that we do, there are many, many components to it, So along with these, sustainability is also a component which we have already talked about. But if you really have that quality, what is the marker for that? What is the indicator of that? That indicator comes that if you are a self-reliant person, and if you have the quality consciousness, then you will automatically start influencing people. You will start influencing them emotionally. So they will also start thinking in the same manner in which you think. Then you will start inspiring them. Inspiration means that you will start causing behavioral changes in those persons. So if you think a thing is to be done in a particular fashion, and if you are inspiring, then you will let the people do things in that particular manner, which means that the person now is doing things little more differently, little more better than he or she was doing before. Hence, it is a behavioral change. And the third thing is, a self-reliant person with quality, what he or she does is that they impact others. Now, impact is something that you have given a kind of a mark to others, that you are an accountable person. You are responsible for what task you have got, and everybody should be accountable. That is one very now our society is becoming accountability deficient society, that we do things, but we don't think that we are responsible for it. If it has not been done, if it has not been done properly, then who is accountable? But a self-reliant and quality person has accountability also. So hence, influencing at the emotional level, inspiring at the behavioral level, and impacting with accountability, that is the marker of a self-reliant person. And hence, I conclude that self-reliance originates with the self, then it influences the group, and ultimately it becomes the culture of the organization. Because in any organization, only few people doing things for some of the time is not a culture. The culture component is everybody doing things in the best possible manner, in the most consistent way. So self-reliance is a pathway to create an organizational culture. So this is something which is very, very important. Now, a self-reliant person also asks these questions. And these questions were not framed by me. These questions were framed by Einstein. And when he was talking to the teachers, he told them three things. Imagine how much time back, and imagine how relevant these three questions are. So if a self-reliant person has taught something and it is not understood well by the children, it means that person is not an effective teacher. If you cannot explain it simply, you didn't understand it well enough. So even the most complex of concepts, howsoever complex it may be, if we are able to produce it in a very, very simple fashion, then we are an effective teacher. And that will come only from a teacher who is developed his or her capacities. Now, the second thing is that we should not take teaching as a routine matter, teaching as something which comes naturally, teaching as something, oh, it's okay, I have taught. No, teaching is an art. And for that also, some kind of self-reliance is necessary. It is the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy and creative expression and knowledge in the children. Because no learning can be perfect or effective if it does not have joy and creativity as these two things. This was something which Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore also said, that learning as a joy and as creative expression, that is something that the teachers have to discover. And that is what the teaching as art means. And everybody is a genius. But if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it is stupid. What does it mean? It only means that what Swami Vivekananda said, that there is a perfection within each child, and teacher's job is to manifest that perfection. It also means that every child is different. No two children are same. They are unique, as we call it. And we have to love and respect those uniquenesses. And for that, it is necessary that in our teaching, after all, we were not the same as other children in our own classes. So what do we do today as teachers? We have to differentiate. So some way the pedagogies have to be different, the assessment have to be different, the treatment has to be different, the timing also additional required, remediation as we call it. And I think any child who needs any kind of support, that should be available from the elders around the child. And the teachers are the one who occupy most of that space where children would like to learn from. So this is another aspect of it. And there is another altogether different angle to Atma Nirbharta. And that angle is that most of the time, we think as teachers that we are the dominant person. We are the, what we call proverbially, that we are a sage on the stage and we know everything. An assumption is that the children do not know anything. I think that is something which is not true. It was never true. And even if it was true, it was something of the past. Let's forget about it. My belief system is that children today know much more than an average teacher. The information sources are same for the children and the teachers. The only difference that a teacher can make is if we are in a position to tell the children that how to use that information, how to analyze it, how to synthesize it, how to convert that data or information into what we call knowledge and wisdom, that is something very, very important. So there are researches and the thousands of children interviewed and surveyed across the world, and three things came out very distinctly: that what children look up to in their teacher. And if the same survey was done with the teachers, that what they think is the expectations of the children. And very surprisingly, the first expectation of the children is something which no teacher guessed, because every teacher thinks that the children would like to get more marks, they would like to understand the concepts, they would like the teacher to be friendly or lovely or whatever it is. But one thing that we do not recognize as a teacher is that the children are also interested in our own growth. They want us to learn more, become more efficient and effective, and they want us to adapt to the situations. They want us to be resilient. And some of these expectations were fulfilled during the pandemic, if you recall. The teachers showed that kind of ability to learn and grasp new things, new technology, and made themselves up to the level where they were able to address the problems of the children. So the first is the purpose expectation, and the children want us to grow more. They would love their teachers to come with trophies, write articles, speak, be a public speaker, appear in the talk shows. I think these are the things which children like it. And that is why I can give you a very simple example that why is it that the children love more their music teachers and dance teachers and magicians and singers, the swimmers, and those who play on the courts of basketball or squash or tennis or whatever it is, because they see with their own eyes what they are doing. But the other teachers, I think they have to make up for this, and they have to do something more than just being a good teacher in the classroom to really draw the attention of the children. So this is one. The second thing, of course, is they want their teachers to help the children grow. They want their teachers to work together with their collective efficacy to make the schools the center of excellence. They want the teachers to bring values. They want them to bring character. They want to bring in children the entrepreneurship, the ability to take risks. These are the new age expectations of these children who are highly intelligent, highly articulate. They have the appetite for risk. And this outcome expectation is very important. And it only gives us an idea as to what kind of efficacy and Atma Nirbharta we require to fulfill these expectations of the children. And the third thing, of course, is which is very important. And that is what I said in previous slide, that as a teacher, we have to be influencer, inspirer, and we have to be impactful. Now, if we really do it, and if we can change the behavior of a child, we can change the skill sets, we can bring values in the children, then what we are doing in one word is we are transforming the children. And for that, children expect that we should transform ourselves. So Atma Nirbharta is a state where we are different from what we were when we were not Atma Nirbhar. And this gap or transition is transformation. And the children want that we transform ourselves as teachers, then we transform the students, then we help them become the change makers in the society, and the students become the agents of change and transformation. So these three things are very, very important. And for that, I think it will be not very difficult for us to accept and to design what kind of growth and learning and self-reliant skill and attitude we require. And these are the four things in the teaching learning language, which is easily understandable. And that is why I have brought out this table here, that what is the difference between a group of teachers who have become self-reliant and their collective efficacy is very high to a group of teachers who are still in the transition phase. So these are the four broad areas. Any teacher or teacher trainer will acknowledge it. One is the role of the teacher, and we have to shift from just a lecturer or a lecturer to broadcaster or whatever we call it. We have to be enabler, and we have to be the co-learner with the children. We have to be a catalyst for them. We have to be a facilitator for them. The pedagogy, lecturing one size fits all, catering to the average student, that has to change, and we have to create some kind of innovation in the classroom. We have to raise the curiosity of the children. We have to encourage them to question. And again, we have to be the co-designers together with the children. The classroom, again, we have the same group, same duration of teaching, same external assessment. That has to change also. We have to acknowledge, as I said before, the diversity among the learners. We have to elicit in them a love for learning, love for knowledge, love for self-development. That will make a difference. And if this teacher and pedagogy and classroom has shifted from what it was to what it is expected, then the entire learning experience of the children will change. And then the children will know how to meet challenges. They will experience everything. They will go on a journey of quest. They will become the problem solvers, and they will start owning their own knowledge system. So this shift has to happen if we have to bring in our society that Atma Nirbhar teacher as we are aspiring for. And this is something which I will devote maybe good 5 or 6 minutes, because this is something very important, and this is in the context of NEP, because NEP 2020 and Atma Nirbhar Shikshak, both of them were combined in the main topic that we are discussing. So here, whatever I have said so far can be broadly divided into two things. First, that we want our children to develop their cognition. We want them to develop their emotions. We want them to develop their abilities, their skills. We want them to develop character. So they have to be cognitively efficient, and they have to be a character efficient, because it is a combination of these two things which will make the children flourish in life. Because it is very obvious, very clear. It was always very obvious and clear. But maybe there were some aberrations in our system, and therefore by some force, unknown force, instigated us, and we started only working for more marks, better examination, better result, better college, this placement, that placement. But we did not realize that all those technicalities, they fall flat in the absence of a good character and resilience. If you're not able to work in a team, if you cannot ask good questions, if you cannot give good solutions, if you do not accept and embrace the diversities, we will not be accepted in a team. And most of the top companies in the world, they don't look only at your technical qualifications. So our children must know it, that the future of work does not depend upon our degrees and diplomas and those credentials, made out of grades we have got on those subjects or disciplines. I think how much we are connected with the community, what kind of volunteering we have done, what kind of a self-imposed work culture we have developed. Those things are very, very important. And it is with these aspects that the world has to move towards the sustainability. The individual goals, community goals, goals of the society, everything was put together in the form of what we call Sustainable Developmental Goals, SDGs. So those 17 goals, as all of you may know, they only talk about that our education is of no value, that we are educated, earning, we are having a good life, and a vast population nearby us does not have food, does not have water, does not have energy, does not have a decent employment. They do not have a good house. They don't live in a very hygienic conditions. There are inequalities around. And we are not working for the betterment of this planet. We are not working together. We are not working to make our institutions strong. We are not working for peace and harmony. Then what kind of quality we can attribute to this education? And that is why the whole world is very, very concerned. And these goals are becoming the driving force again to improve the individuals as good human beings, and at the same time, sustainable societies. So in the light of that also, the role of the teacher has become slightly different. And hence, I'm again presenting a story here as to what is the purpose of teaching here. So we all want our children to be healthy, to their well-being we are concerned with. We want them to become global citizens. We want them to have economic employment opportunities. Everybody should have decent economic employment. And we want peace and prosperity in this world. I think this is what the broad goal is. Now, if these are the future requirements, then we need good infrastructure for that. And that is what the society, the philanthropists, the policy makers need to put into place. So we have to have a good infrastructure, enabling environment, good resources. Nowadays, among all the infrastructure, the digital infrastructure is also very, very important. So we need a good infrastructure. And then as individuals, we need to have a very good policy. So when we talk of NEP 2020, it comes under this, that here we have a policy which is aiming at accessibility and affordability of education for all. Here is a policy which says that our classroom practices must change. Here is a policy which says that what kind of teachers we want for this country. And here is a policy which says that if we follow this pathway, we will be able to achieve all our goals in next 20 to 25 years. So for that, we need a policy. And that policy should be based on equity for all, excellence for all, learner-centric, and of course, the professional development of teachers. So we all have to participate into that. And who will do this? How can we achieve it? For that, we need the institutions like yours, good institutions where character building, human capital formation, and sustainable community development becomes the order of the day, becomes the culture. And if we are able to produce all this, then only we can have openness, we can have dialogue, we can have thinking individuals, we will have creativity, we will have love for learning, we'll have intellectual stimulation, we will be humble, we will be humane, and we will work with values, we'll work with morality, and we will work with empathy towards each other. So that is how, keeping the future in mind, through infrastructure, policy, institutions, we can build a culture for the nation. And that is something, as I said in the beginning, that individual Atma Nirbharta will result into Atma Nirbharta of our great nation. So this is one particular story which I thought was necessary to bring to all of your notice. With these, I rest my case here. I thank you all very much for inviting me. I think we have some time and we can take some questions if they are there. Over to you, Dr. Reni. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll be looking up with questions. It would be great if you could just post the questions on your chat box so we can take up. Dr. Ashok Pandey has been very generous in explaining each aspect of being Atmanirbhar. And one aspect of Atmanirbhar is to question.
Yes, absolutely.
Because the questioning mind is a curious mind, and curious mind wants to know more how to be self-reliant. So I'm sure we'll have a lot of questions coming through.
Yeah.
Do we have any questions to take up? It looks like they are already Atmanirbhar and they are moving ahead in a lot of self-reliance towards themselves. Magri ma'am, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah.
Magri
So
ma'am,
that's
would you
fine.
like to, Magri ma'am, would you like to share your thoughts? Yeah.
I think Magre ma'am is muted.
Yeah.
No, she said, no, 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 no. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, thank you, sir, for
So
that
that's fine.
insight.
Yeah. So that's fine.
Yeah, I just wanted to share one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
When we want the Atma Nirbhar Shikshak, so
Yes.
each and every teacher, not as per the qualification of the teacher, but as
Mm.
per the human being, each and
Yes.
every person should be a teacher, and they
Yes.
create more and more innovative environment. When the
Absolutely.
person create more and more innovative environment, definitely we will get the more opportunities how in the teaching learning processes. So
Yeah.
we create the learning environment like field-based activities, project-based activities, experiential learning. So, and we create the various strategies for in teaching learning processes. We'll get the direct experience, because
Absolutely.
experience-based teaching learning process is the best teaching learning process. So these are
Yeah.
my.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
think somebody was trying to say something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, can I ask you a question?
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes.
So,
Please.
there are so many boards right now, right? CBSE, the ICSE, the Cambridge, and the IB, right? And sometimes teachers feel that I think there is 1 minute. Yeah. So sometimes a state board teacher feels that she's a little bit inferior than an IB teacher. What are your thoughts about this?
Teacher, not as per the qualification of the teacher, but as per the human being. Each and every person should be a teacher, and they create more and more innovative environment.
Absolutely.
When the person create more and more innovative environment, definitely we will get the more opportunities.
So you're muted.
In the teaching learning processes. So we
Reni,
create the learning.
I think this is the recording is playing of Dr. Magre. Yeah, now it's fine.
Unmuted.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
hope you got the question. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the question. Thank you very much. So two things I want to tell you. This year, I think it is the most recent, and everybody listening here will be very happy to know this, that 40 teachers got national award this year on 5th by the hands of Honorable President of India. And out of that 40, there were only 6 teachers from the private schools, which means from CBSE and ICSE boards. And rest, all of them were from the state boards. So where does that inferiority come from? I don't understand. This is number one. Number two, I have had the opportunity to meet 150 shortlisted teachers from across the country who were nominated for the national award, not this year, few years back. And out of those,
where does that inferiority come from?
Yeah, and those 150 people were doing remarkable job in the most difficult conditions in different nooks and corners of the country. I will tell you, one teacher in Karnataka or Kerala, if I remember correctly, was a teacher come driver. He has a van and he would pick up the children in the van in the morning. He will come, bring them to the school, teach them for the day. In the afternoon, he will take them and drop them to their respective houses. You see, I think as Magli ma'am told us that the human quality, your commitment, and the difference that you can make, and the facilities that you can provide, even within your meager resources, I think that is going to make a difference and you will be noticed. This is the preface of my answer to your question, Francis. But the second thing, of course, is it is a public perception. We have created this perception, and it is very unfortunate that in the last 20 to 30 years, this perception has come. When we were students, this perception was not there. And to tell you the truth, I don't want to offend anybody here. UP board was a dreaded board, one of the toughest boards. Maybe the other boards also were there, but as a child, I did not know. And at that time, I appeared for 10th class examination when 9th and 10th, both syllabi were asked. In 12th class, both 11th and 12th class syllabus was out. I think it was very tough. It was very prestigious. So I think if at all that perception has creeped in, people in charge of it, they have to work very hard. They have to bring that glory back. And the third thing is the NEP 2020 is now the green light, or a lighthouse in a rough sea, if I can use that word. And I think everybody has to comply to that. And if you don't fall into line, and if you don't set a new benchmark, you will continue to suffer with the same complex if it is true.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for the insightful session. As teachers, we are highly empowered by the session. As quoted by Edna, empowering those around you to be heard and valued makes the difference between a leader who simply instructs and one who inspires. Thank you for inspiring us. As we come to the end of our program, it is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks. I take this opportunity to thank our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Suhas Petnekar, sir, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni, sir, Dean of Commerce Faculty, Dr. Ajay Bhamre, sir, for their valuable support. Our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Sunita Magre, ma'am, Chairperson, Board of Studies in Education, Professor and Head, Department of Education, University of Mumbai, for her vision to have such initiatives that will really be an eye-opener and an inspiring thought for everybody. I extend our gratitude to the management of Mahatma Education Society, Dr. K. M. Vasudevan Pillai, sir, Chairman and CEO, Dr. Daphne Pillai, ma'am, Secretary, Mahatma Management Board, Dr. Priyam Pillai, sir, COO, MES, Mr. Pranav Pillai, Deputy CEO, MES. A heartfelt gratitude to the organizing team and all our viewers for their wholehearted support. As we come to the close of this event, wishing all of us an empowering journey as teacher ahead. I, Dr. Rennie Francis, signing off. Goodbye and God bless.
Thank you.
Once again, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. And
been
thank you,
really
Sunita, ma'am.
inspiring.
You are very kind and generous. You grace us with your presence every time that we meet, and you are an inspiring figure. And thank you, Dr. Rennie, for your very efficient and very kind introduction and conduct of this particular show. And thank you, Mr. Francis. You are known for that kind of support, and you have lived up to your reputation today also.
Presence every time that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.